Jag Oreo.
Okay. Is it recording?
Yeah.
Yes. Oh god, that's terrifying. I feel like in a minute you're going to miss one and hit it really hard and it's going to smash.
Yeah, probably should stop that actually. Will you be eating cheese with us, Charlotte?
I will be eating cheese with you, Caleb.
Yeah.
I can't sit near cheese and not eat it.
Not even the cottage cheese?
Potentially that one.
What do you not like about cottage cheese?
The texture, the look of it, the fact it looks like frog spawn. And like I can feel
You
the
can feel
texture
it
in my
while looking
mouth.
at it.
Yeah.
Do you wait? How does it feel in your mouth? Thinking, like, imagining what it is.
Like cold egg with mayonnaise, but when there's way too much mayonnaise, and it's just like.
Yeah. In my experience, it's like little bits of cheese, like like feta cheese.
Yeah.
But it's slightly more squidgy than that.
Mm.
In between, like a kind of liquidy.
I'm not saying anyone has to.
Oh
I feel
wow.
like honey and cheese could be delicious.
Jam and
honey and
cheese
cheese would work. Jam and cheese
Wait,
definitely
you know
work.
that honey jam? That would be perfect.
What about the sour cream as well? I don't know what that would
Sour
go
cream.
with.
Should I bring that?
Yeah.
See, I don't like the idea of the sour.
I don't like blue cheese either. I
That
haven't
one?
had blue cheese for years. Yeah.
Yeah, this is what is this one called?
Cambozola?
Yeah, you said this one was. Really
Yeah,
good.
my uncle loves that one, but I don't enjoy blue cheese, so I haven't had
What's
it in
the
a while.
one? If you are trying all of these, which one are you not looking forward to trying the most?
The cottage cheese, and then the Cambozola. Everything else is fine.
For me, it's this smoked cheese.
Really?
The smoked cheese, then the goat's cheese, then the Cambozola.
That's so funny. I really like smoked cheese and goat's cheese. Cambozola, I can take it or leave it, but I think I probably don't like blue cheese. I think I
I've
do
never
like
tried.
blue cheese.
I've just like the fact that it kind of looks like brie.
Yeah, and
Makes me think it might
it's
be
not
alright.
brie.
Yeah.
It tastes very different to brie. The last time I had blue cheese was with first year Hall's flat,
Yeah.
and we had it with pear. And I was like, that's the only way I will ever eat blue cheese.
With blue cheese.
Yeah.
I've had blue cheese on like eggs before. That was actually really,
Ooh.
really nice.
Actually, that sounds like it's
Although
probably
it
not
was
terrible.
a very like strong breakfast food.
Thank you.
Like it really woke me up.
Yeah. Yay! Thank you very much. Yummy.
Yummy.
Oh. I was talking to the fitness woman today, and she was like, "Cool. So ideal scenario: you're gonna do 3 days of weights, 4 days of cardio. You're gonna be in here every day." And I was
Oh
just
my
looking
God.
at her like, "You're crazy."
The trainer.
Yeah.
Have you got a personal trainer?
No.
Oh.
She was just doing a gym induction, but she was like, "This is what you're gonna do with it." Yeah. Oh no.
Oh no.
Oh god.
Oh,
Absolutely not.
so
What is that? Is that a pickle?
It's a gherkin.
Oh, not in the milk.
Why are you adding so much? Really?
I think that's just gone in your tea. It just dripped into your tea.
That's
It looks like a slug.
Oh my word. That is revolting.
That's the noise it's making.
Yeah. Righty ho.
Right then, Fred. Right said Fred, right said Fred.
Fred said right.
Yeah. Fred said right. Did he? Yes.
Documentation that we're doing that you're like also a part of into your don't feel like you can't.
Yeah. Yeah, I might do that.
Looking forward to eating.
Just making sure it's still recording. Yes, it is. I'm probably least looking forward to Dairy Lee. Also, I know that the That one, not a fan.
Mexican.
Mexicana cheese.
Have you had that one?
Yes, I really like that.
What? How is it? How did you try it? Why did you not
Peppery.
like it?
I didn't like it because it was sweet.
I'm really not. Last time I ate this, I felt really sick.
Oh no.
The
Maybe do that one
the smoked
last.
cheese.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I think the one I can probably start with is the cottage cheese,
I really like
which
cottage
Charlotte
cheese.
is least looking for.
Have you tried it before?
No.
It tastes like yogurt. It tastes
It's
like
actually
really,
nice.
really
It
like.
looks gross.
It looks disgusting.
The colour is the.
Sorry, I'm gonna stop doing that. I keep. I'm not looking forward to the gherkin.
No, I think the addition of the
yeah.
gherkin to the plate that's gonna go on my hit list.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
I quite like gherkins.
I was thinking, how should we do it? Like, should we like read and then like stop every now and then and like eat?
Yeah.
But do you think we should get like our plates ready so it's easier?
Yeah, definitely.
We could just literally put a bit of everything on
Yeah.
the plate.
Whose are these beautiful flower plates?
They're
Thank you. These are my favourite plates that we own.
These are mine, I think.
They're
really
beautiful.
nice.
Yeah, they are.
Every time I go for a plate, I go for this one.
Yeah. Because we're not recording a video this time, so I feel like I need to take those photos. So do you guys want to take turns reading it? So do you guys want to start making your plates and I'll start reading?
Yeah. Just to warn you, I'm really bad at reading out loud. Like,
Me too. Me too. I'm
Okay,
just gonna grab
well-
a notebook.
Maybe I could read most of it and then you guys can just read it while I'm making my plate.
yeah.
Cheese, damn it. Cheese, damn it. Well, this isn't.
Ooh.
I have a thought.
I swear, like, this is gonna turn into, like, us bringing a. I don't know.
Oh, is there more food coming?
I think there might be.
Everything ever.
Ellie,
Yeah.
is this yours?
Chocolate.
I thought it was yours.
Oh, well, there we go.
Are we having some dark chocolate as well?
I don't know. I
Oh,
just
dark
don't like
chocolate and Stilton
with
apparently.
cheese.
Do we
Chocolate
have-
and
we
cheese
don't
is
have-
really nice. We don't
I'm
have
gonna-
what?
We don't have still. I'm gonna open some and put it on the board.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I was just thinking about it, and like chocolate and cheese is quite a quite nice combination.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. Whoa, that's the stuff that's in McDonald's burgers, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's actually really nice pickles.
I do really
Yeah,
like
I
it.
think pickles are
I
nice.
don't tend to eat it generally, but I won't not eat it.
Yeah.
Charlotte, do you want to sit a bit closer to the cheese, or
Yeah, you could sit. Like you both could sit.
do you
there.
want to just come round and get cheese and then?
Maybe. Do you want to move slightly further up so you're next to Caleb? I said this to Caleb when we were sitting down. I was like, I feel like you two should be next to each other.
Yeah.
As the main collaborators of the sections.
There's no such
Thank you.
No, we are kind of main.
Yeah, there's no,
No, I'm
such
not.
thing. Yes, you are.
I do not take accountability.
Does someone else want the notebook?
I also have a notebook.
Do you want? You can make notes in the cheese stuff. Shit, I almost. Okay.
Chaos.
You can make notes in this one. If you
Thank you. I mean, I don't
Do you
know what
want
I'm
to?
making notes of yet. Not right now.
Okay.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Shall I put
Sorry.
this with you?
Sorry.
Oh, is that one your one? No, that's mine.
I haven't drunk that one.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Ow.
Alright, you guys start making your plates. I'm going to read this.
Oh fuck. Okay. What? How do you make a plate?
However you
So, one of everything though.
like. Okay.
Or just a bit of everything.
Like we could do with a little
Fucking
bit more
gherkin.
space.
Yeah, we could.
Might move this, or do it need to stay there? Because it's quite kind of part of the set.
Yeah. That bit is still there.
It's alright, I can probably just like do this. Or maybe I should just use this one instead of my one.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you fold the... that one?
Oh yeah, I don't like it.
Oh, I like that one. Yeah, but you can keep it. The freeze the cheese.
Yeah. Oh, this is so oily.
Is it?
Just that little patch. Can you see?
Yeah. I like this, by the way.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, okay. Chapter 1. Approaching abjection. No beast is there without glimmer of infinity. No eye so vile nor abject that brushes not against lightning from on high, now tender, now fierce. Victor Hugo, La Legend de Seek. I don't know how you
Can I see
say
the
that.
word?
How would you say that?
Where?
La Legend.
La Legend.
La Legend.
Cycle.
Cycle.
Siècle. I don't know.
Claire.
Neither.
Cycle.
Don't know what it means.
That sounds like yeah.
Neither subject nor object. There looms within objection one of those violent dark revolts of being, directed against a threat that seems to emanate from an exorbitant outside or inside, ejected beyond the scope of the possible, the tolerable, the thinkable. It lies there, quite close, but it cannot be assimilated. It beseeches, worries, and fascinates desire, which nevertheless does not let itself be seduced. Apprehensive, desire turns aside, sickened, it rejects. A certainty protects it from the shameful. A certainty of which it is proud holds on to it. But simultaneously, just the same, that impetus, that spasm, that leap is drawn toward and elsewhere, as tempting as it is condemned. Unflaggingly, like an inescapable boomerang, a vortex of summons and repulsion places the one haunted by it literally beside himself. When I am beset by objection, the twisted braid of affects and thoughts I call by such a name does not have, properly speaking, a definable object. The abject is not an object facing me, which I name or imagine, nor is it an object, an otherness ceaselessly fleeing in a systematic quest of desire. What is abject is not my correlative, which, providing me with someone or something else as support, would allow me to be more or less detached and autonomous.
Are we focusing too much on the cheese? I just realised.
What?
I'm gonna be honest, I wasn't actually.
No, I to be honest, I have not been listening as I was reading.
I
I suddenly saw both me and Charlotte be absorbed in the cheese.
Is that a lot?
No, I am taking it in.
I was thinking maybe I could read it slower and like literally try and pick apart the meaning. What
Yeah.
You definitely could. I'm trying to get one of each cheese on the
that
plate.
pickle
so
smells so strong. It smells like burgers.
Ooh, yeah, it does.
I can't smell it.
You just dipped your hair in it.
Just
Well,
for
what
the
other
lol.
flavour?
What cheese have I not got? Oh, it's cottage cheese.
Oh,
Oh, oh my god. Come on.
that's the repulsion right there.
Mm.
So, there looms within abjection, so within this feeling of abjection, there is looming one of those violent, dark revolts of being.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what a dark revolt of being is exactly.
No idea.
Dark revolt of being.
To revolt
Sounds
against
monstrous.
something,
Mm.
to revolt against being, directed against a threat that seems to emanate from an exorbitant outside or inside, ejected beyond the scope of the possible. So, to revolt against something that seems to emanate from an outside or inside, ejected beyond the scope of the possible, the tolerable, the thinkable.
Mm.
It lies there, quite close, but it cannot be assimilated. So it's something that can't be brought into like a general scheme, I guess. You can't like assimilate into. It beseeches, worries, and fascinates desire, which nevertheless does not let itself be seduced. So it's kind of similar to desire. Apprehensive, desire turns aside, sickened, it rejects. A certainty protects it from the shameful. A certainty of which it is proud holds on to it. So the apprehension that desire, the feeling of desire has, rejects, and it has a kind of certainty about it, like a kind of like, I guess when you like have a complete bodily like rejection of something, or not even like complete, like it's not like being sick, it's just like retching.
Yeah.
Something. It's like a kind of certainty about how you feel about something, maybe. So certainty of which it is proud holds on to it, but simultaneously, just the same, that impetus, that spasm, that leap is drawn toward and elsewhere, as tempting as it is condemned. So even though this desire which rejects is going on at the same time, there is the spasm which, the like kind of retching which is drawn towards and elsewhere, which is tempting. What are you laughing about?
Exactly saying what's it?
It was too loud, so I just put my teeth like halfway in and then went no.
You can be as loud as you want.
Yeah.
If you get like, it'd be a really nice recording if it's just reading this and then you just go like.
That would be good. It'd be good if they could see some of my facial expressions as I taste some of the cheese. Do you see my facial expression with?
Oh, are you going?
Well, I'm only having little like licks.
Okay. A little saucy lick.
Along the way.
So at the same time as the desire turning away, there is also a leap which is drawn towards and elsewhere, as tempting as it is condemned. Unflaggingly, like an inescapable boomerang, a vortex of summons and repulsion places the one haunted by it literally beside himself. So the one that is haunted by this vortex of summons and repulsion places them literally beside themselves. So I guess to be literally beside yourself, like you're not.
What?
Right.
What was the olive thing about? You said I don't know. You went, I don't know what that is.
Oh, I meant that.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the
holding an
olive. Sorry.
No.
Sorry, continue. Not continue if you don't want to, but only continue at your own wish.
Okay. When I am beset by objection, the twisted braid of affects and thoughts I call by such a name does not have, properly speaking, a definable object. The abject is not an object facing me. The abject is not an object facing me, which I name or imagine, nor is it an object, an otherness ceaselessly fleeing in a systematic quest of desire. What is abject is not my correlative, which, providing me with someone or something else as support, would allow me to be more or less detached and autonomous. I don't really know what that means. Abject is not my correlative. What does
Correlating? Like
It's not the thing that she.
So maybe the object and the object are the correlative. So it's something that like Christova like moves alongside.
Yeah.
So abject is not that. So the correlative would provide her with someone or something else as support, which would allow her to be more or less detached and anonymous. The abject has only one quality of the object, that of being opposed to I. So it's something not that can't be understood as.
Yeah. You can never. Yeah. Sorry, that was big.
If the object, however, through its opposition, settles me within the fragile texture of a desire for meaning, which, as a matter of fact, makes me ceaselessly and infinitely homologous to it. What is abject, on the contrary, the jettisoned object, is radically excluded and draws me toward the place where meaning collapses. A certain ego that, merged with its master, a superego, has flatly driven it away. It lies outside, beyond the set, and does not seem to agree to the latter's rules of the game. And yet, from its place of banishment, the abject does not cease challenging its master. Without a sign for him, it beseeches a discharge, a convulsion, a crying out.
I really know.
From its place of banishment, the abject does not cease challenging its master. Without a sign for him, as in a sign for the person,
Maybe, actually. Not from that jar.
like a sign for the person perceiving the abject. So without a sign for him, it beseeches a discharge. So it leads to a discharge, a convulsion, a crying out. So it's kind of a response to something that has no like care or like no no relation to you. So instead you're left with a crying out. To each ego its object, to each superego its object. It is not the white expanse or slack boredom of repression, not the translations and transformations of desire that wrench bodies, nights, and discourse. Rather, it is a brutish suffering that I puts up with, sublime and devastated, for I deposits it to the Father's account. Verse au per version. I don't know what it means. Rather, it is. Sorry, I didn't get that bit.
It's okay.
It is not the translations. Desire that wrench bodies to each. So this thing of abjection is not the white expanse or the boredom of repression, not the translations and transformations of desire that wrench bodies, nights, and discourse. Rather, it is a brutish suffering that I puts up with, sublime and devastated, for I deposits it to the Father's account. I endure it, for I imagine that such is the desire of the other. A massive and sudden emergence of uncanniness, which, familiar as it might have been in an opaque and forgotten life, now harries me as a radically separate, loathsome. Not me, not that, but not nothing either. A something that I do not recognize as a thing, a weight of meaninglessness, about which there is nothing insignificant and which crushes me. A weight of meaninglessness, about which there is nothing insignificant and which crushes me. Sorry, I
Feels very struggling artist, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So it was, what was it? A weight of meaninglessness of which there's nothing of insignificant. No.
About which there is nothing insignificant and which crushes me. On the edge of non-existence and hallucination, of a reality that, if I acknowledge it, annihilates me. So to like really I was thinking about how I can only eat apples really quickly because if they become like kind of gooey in my mouth or like kind of liquidy,
Really?
I feel really, really sick. Like I can't like consider the flavour of the apple fully because like I like the initial taste and then any kind of like breakdown of taste and the mush, like so I eat apples really, really quickly.
Yeah.
And it kind of reminds me of that idea of something being on the edge of non-existence and hallucination, and then the moment that Kristeva acknowledges the abject object, it annihilates her, so it like completely like she can't help but reject it. Like there is no way she can ever reach that point because her body like won't let her.
So interesting.
There, abject and abjection are my safeguards, the primers of my culture. It's interesting because I feel like abject is like, I feel like the goalposts could move a lot. Like I feel like it's like like you could get used to the flavour of apple, like if you exposed yourself to it. But it's like whatever is at the time the thing that is what the abject thing is.
It's like the maggot cheese, like to people that are really familiar with the concept of it, it's kind of like probably fine, and like people that eat it in, is it Sicily or something?
Yeah. Like there's no, it's like there's actually no limit, or it's like subjective in some way. But
yeah.
It's like that alcohol that comes with animals in the bottle.
Oh yeah,
God,
like
which
snake.
is like, what the
Alcohol.
actual fuck, what are you doing? But I guess the person who made it and the culture that appreciate that probably don't think twice.
And so don't have that reaction whatsoever, so we can't call that, nothing is like objectively abject.
No.
It's always...
But there is
whatever is
always
in the
something
moment.
abject. Like there's always an abject thing.
Abject exists sort of, not externally because it's inherent to the thing, but the thing is inherent to the abjection, if that makes sense.
What is the abject? What is that?
In
like layman's terms.
Well, it's so I guess it's the thing that if you, I guess what Christopher was saying, it's like it is the thing that like causes you like a kind of bodily or mental repulsion, like
it's like
the thing you can't think about,
like a gag, like gagging when you like smell something really bad. That's sort of like an abject response.
like
It's like keeping you safe
you were
from
having
something.
like an abject response when you were thinking about eating the
So
cream,
like
like
that.
you did the actual gag.
Yeah, and like the way that
Or even
sometimes,
like scrunching up your face.
yeah. Like it like just like takes control of you.
Yeah, something that's so okay, cool.
And like even when you sort of like, I don't know, it's weird because it sits with you as well. Like you can't just get rid of the abject. It sort of like has a decompression kind of period.
Yeah.
There's also like the I was thinking it's interesting she says the primers of my culture, like it's interesting to think about, like I think definitely like things that are like taboo as well is like a really important way of thinking about objection as well, like what is culturally taboo, like what can't you talk about, you know, with like there are things like unsaid which in some way like preserve whatever culture we're currently like upholding, I guess.
Weirdly, like sometimes it's not even like the necessarily the concept that is like abject in a culture. It's sometimes like specifically the word that is used to describe that concept, because sometimes you can have like a certain word that's like completely fine to use, it like describes the same thing, and then suddenly like a different word of the same thing is like complete, like really, really
what kind of word?
I don't know. I think I like something that I think is that when like growing older, there has been like quite a lot of like sexual things that at first like it was okay to use the slang term for it. Like if you're like dick or like cunt or whatever, then or pussy or that kind of thing, like those were fine to use. But as soon as you said like penis or vagina, it'd be like
yeah. Yeah.
It's like it's the same thing.
Also, I guess
Now
it
it's like
depends
easy to
like
say,
what context you're in as well.
Yeah.
If you're with your parents, I don't know, like I can't even imagine like talking about like pussy or dick at the dinner table. Like, that would be so weird. But also like somebody, you know, like in a different family, that would be fine as well. So it's like
I've definitely said the word vagina at the dinner table, and I think my dad felt quite awkward about it.
It's just like, it's so crazy, isn't it? Because like he obviously
he knows what they are.
He's been like, you know, he's
been
seen
near
them.
one. Yeah.
Been like inside of one.
Exactly. And yet it's such a strange thing to be like.
it makes me think about also like, I don't know, like I feel like I don't know if it's less, it seems like less of a problem now, but I wouldn't really know. But I feel like in my family it's quite normal to like talk about like periods and like period pain. But also, like, I remember growing up, like, being a teenage boy among other teenage boys. Like, teenage boys would be like so disgusted by periods.
Yeah,
like, and it's
bleeding
kind
from
of,
your vagina.
and it just seems like the kind of like, I don't know, that kind of like total disgust was like really odd, but very like culturally ingrained.
Do you think it comes from the unknown? Do you think perhaps when we're not, that comes from an essence of just not understanding?
Yeah, maybe. There was something about unknown.
Like, I'm not sure what will happen if I say these words or like discuss these concepts, and so I'm just going to be disgusted by them, so I don't have to find out. I'm just not going to think about them.
I think it's not even like necessarily always discussed as well. I think it's like a complete like shut down in your brain about like I don't know, I often struggle like it's much easier for me to think like sexually like about a woman than it is for me to think about a man in the same way. And like it's really sometimes it's really hard, and like my brain just won't like, even go there.
That's so interesting.
That's really interesting. I feel the opposite way around.
I feel
really interesting.
I feel like the opposite way around, but is in like the same, like heterosexually the same.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like that's it, and it's a really weird thing that ends up influencing like a lot of what you believe and then feel, because like part of me wonders whether that's got more to do with my sexuality than I realise. Like like that abjection about like, you know, thinking of it like women in a sexual way. I wonder whether that like, I don't know, I wonder whether that is something that's been taught rather than something that would have been, I don't know, I think it could have changed. And I think as I've grown older and started to realise like, oh, it's okay to like, you know, that's an okay thing. I've started to like not find that thought so abject.
And it's interesting also like the different types of, because like I can like say to myself that it's okay to feel these things, and like on a kind of like philosophical level, like for me there is like absolutely nothing wrong with thinking about a man sexually in the same way I think about a woman or whoever, and it kind of but then like it's another thing actually doing it, you know. Like the like my body and like a different type of thinking that's going on, like when I'm thinking sexually, like it just doesn't like it can't, it still gets blocked out even if I keep telling myself like something, you know. It's like it takes a lot, I think, to like push past like feeling, I don't know if it's total feeling of objection, but it's like that kind of thing where it's like you can't even enter into the thought, you know?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. It's weird because like I found that like, I guess that same thing when I was going from like being like a child, I guess, to an adult in terms of like sexual experiences, because like my first sexual experiences were like, I think they really did bring on like feelings of abjection. And it's really weird because it was specifically to do with the fact that it was with another person. And like to the point where like, and I saw like a post about this on Instagram, so it's clearly not something that's like the only thing that, you know, only I've felt, but like having like flashbacks of like sexual experiences that you've like felt so uncomfortable in, and so like so not, you know, when you're just like, I guess it's like not in the mood, but like the discomfort is just so vivid that I don't know. It's like, and it's not like, and I don't know, but it changes going from, like, for me, it's one of the big things that's changed has been, I think the kind of way, I think partly like the way I understand kind of consent, but also just the way that like I understand myself and my body and like how you're allowed to sort of like, you know, being allowed to feel certain things, I guess, and like comfort, I guess.
Yeah, because I guess you like allow yourself as well, like to feel something.
Yeah, and being a child, like going from being a child, like when I first found that, when my period first started, I was like in tears because I was like, oh my god. This is like, I don't know, it was like such a, like your body catches up with you before your sort of brain is, brain has done that.
You can like fully understand what it is, like why you feel some kind of sense of objection.
Yeah.
I guess it like no longer becomes object if you can like understand why. It's because like then it's no longer unknowable. In a way.
Yeah.
Does someone want to read the next bit?
I can give it a go.
Okay, from there.
Okay.
So I think it's like sectioned pretty well. So
Yeah, so this section is called the improper/unclean.
Mm-hmm.
Loathing an item of food, a piece of filth, waste or dung. The spasms and vomiting that protect me. The repugnance, the retching that thrusts me to the side and turns me away from defilement, sewage and muck. The shame of compromise, of being in the middle of treachery. The fascinated start that leads me toward and separates me from them. Food loathing is perhaps the most elementary and most archaic form of objection. When the eye see or the lips touch the skin on the surface of milk, harmless, thin as a sheet of cigarette paper, pitiful as a nail paring, I experience a gagging sensation, and still further down, spasms in the stomach, the belly, and all the organs shrivel up the body, provoke tears and bile, increase heartbeat, cause forehead and hands to perspire. Along with sight clouding, dizziness, nausea makes me balk at the milk cream, separates me from the mother and father who proffer it. I want none of that element, sign of their desire. I do not want to listen. I do not assimilate it. I expel it. But since the food is not an other for me, who am only in their desire, I expel myself. I spit myself out. I object myself within the same motion through which I claim to establish myself. That's interesting because reading that makes me think more about, like, I think of that in relation to like the sexual things we were talking about, the like expelling myself rather than expelling it.
It's interesting like how the abject challenges like the self, like it challenges like how you construct yourself as. I kind of feel like that is like what the self is just like a construction of what you believe yourself to be. You know?
Yeah.
Also, what you're taught, I think.
Yeah, and I think that's
Like
fully
what
part
you
of how
learn,
you
what you're
understand who you are. You know, it's
Yeah.
like what you're taught. I'm gonna give you guys a piece of chocolate.
Yeah.
Thank you. Could I have some more wine?
Yes.
Thank you.
I'll give it to you.
Thank you. I
was
saw
trying
you
to do it
trying to like
one-handed.
flick it out. I was like,
Yeah.
don't worry.
Have I got everything? I just need.
Something that I have realised that I don't have is the I've like subconsciously avoided it is the dairy leaf.
Oh, is there any more goat's cheese?
Oh yeah, there's this like slice here.
Oh.
I had the end slice because I felt like that was like a bit more goat's cheesy. I think I.
Oh no.
I was thinking we could all like stop and like eat a piece of cheese like every section, or like 2 pieces of cheese every section.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Oh gosh, you've got this. That's beautiful. I was picking that one up like.
Yeah.
Right,
I don't want to go anywhere near it.
And then I just need a bit of chocolate.
got yourself in a bit of a pickle. You're welcome.
Oh,
Here's your Friday.
That's really thick, but pickle gross.
Felt like I had suddenly remembered that I didn't have. Oh, I haven't got an olive on my plate.
Ooh, I'm really
I haven't got
enjoying
any.
those. I didn't used to like olives, but I really, really like them.
Thank you.
I think the only thing I haven't got is a cracker and a piece of lettuce.
Oh yeah, we all need to get that.
Oh yeah.
I love how systematic my plate is in comparison.
How what?
Systematic.
Yeah, yours is
clock.
beautiful.
I feel like I can't cover anything, but that means I don't know where to put the lettuce. Maybe I'll pop that bit in the middle.
Okay.
Are you going to take a photo of your plate?
That's a good idea. I'll use your photo.
Do you want to continue reading on?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm good reading. I object myself within the same motion through which I claim to establish myself. That detail, perhaps an insignificant one, but one that they ferret out, emphasise, evaluate, that trifle turns me inside out, guts sprawling. It is thus, and they see it. I am in the process of becoming another at the expense of my own death. Process of becoming another at the sorry, I read that again. During that course in which I become, I give birth to myself amid the violence of sobs of vomit, mute protest of the symptom, shattering violence of a convulsion that, to be sure, is inscribed in a symbolic system, but in which, without either wanting or being able to become integrated in order to answer to it, it reacts, it abreacts, it objects. The corpse, or cadaver, kadir means to fall, which is interesting. That which has irremediably become a cropper is cesspool and death. It upsets even more violently the one who confronts it as fragile and fallacious. Chance. A wound with blood and pus, or the sickly, acrid smell of sweat, of decay, does not signify death. In the presence of signified death, a flat encephalograph, for instance, I would understand, react, or accept. No, as in true theatre, without makeup or masks, refuse and corpses show me what I permanently thrust aside in order to live. These body fluids, this defilement, this shit are what life withstands, hardly and with difficulty on the part of death. There I am at the border of my condition as a living being. I really like that. There I am at the border of my condition as a living being. My body extricates itself as being alive from that border. Such wastes drop so that I might live, until from loss to loss nothing remains in me, and my entire body falls beyond the limit. Kadir, cadaver. If dung signifies the other side of the border, the place where I am not and which permits me to be, the corpse, the most sickening of wastes, is a border that has encroached upon everything. It is no longer I who expel, I is expelled. The border has become an object. How can I be without border? That elsewhere, that I imagine beyond the present, or that I hallucinate, so that I might in a present time speak to you, conceive of you. It is now here, jetted, abjected into my world, deprived of world. Therefore I fall in a faint. In that compelling, raw, insolent thing, in the morgue's full sunlight, in that thing that no longer matches and therefore no longer signifies anything, I behold the breaking down of a world that has erased its borders, fainting away. The corpse, seen without God and outside of science, is the utmost of abjection. That's true, that's why we sort of don't. That's why we have God and science, in a way.
Wait, Sorry, I kind of
Sorry,
missed a
would you
bit,
mind
but could
repeating
you
that?
explain like why?
So basically, like, so this is the line: the corpse seen without God and outside of science is the utmost of objection. It's like this is like a new line and a new thing. She hasn't spoken about this before, but it's the way that when you look at something, if it's like not being treated, if you're not treating it with the mindset that it's like scientific or spiritual, then it's abject.
The
so
corpse
really,
without God is
yeah.
abject.
Okay.
So if you, it depends what lens you look at something through that determines whether you have an abject response to it in certain circumstances. So like I guess that's the same as with the maggot cheese. Like if you look at it through the lens of being like, oh, this is just food,
Or as like a tradition of eating something.
then it's like, yeah,
That's
of course
fine.
it's nice. But then if you look at it in the same way that we look, like we associate maggots with rot and like you know,
Like
food
gone
that's
off.
food left out on the streets and that maggots are swarming over. So we're looking at it through a completely different lens.
That swarm, the word swarm is a really interesting use. I don't know why, but it is.
It's interesting to think that you can train yourself to you can train yourself into or out of an abject response.
Yes.
I wonder which one's easier to into or out of.
Surely out of.
I think out of.
Yeah, because if an abject response is something that you kind of do without thinking, I think it would take a lot of thinking to be able to do that without thinking. Could you train yourself?
Isn't the process of trying to like train yourself out of abjection really difficult though, because it's like literally fighting a physical like maybe it's not even, maybe the actual abject response isn't something you can train yourself out of, but you can change your mindset about something. Like you kind of have to work at it laterally, right? Because you have to try and understand why you're disgusted by something. But like to go, I'm just gonna eat this and I'm just not gonna be sick even though I find it disgusting. I don't know if that's possible. Do you think?
I think it's slowly possible. Like it's like something that would be a gradual, and then you'd have to start by being very, very much like fighting against the abject response in order to no longer have an abject response.
Yeah.
Like
I think you'd also have to understand why. Like, what is it about this food that you hate?
Yeah.
What specifically, and then deal with that bit.
It's. I wonder what like the abject and fear have in what kind of similarities and differences they have. So you think about like hypnotherapy used for fears and how that just completely changes like your perception of what the thing is.
Or like the other way when they like train smokers to be disgusted by cigarettes.
Yeah.
Really?
That's like
They can do like hypnotherapy to make
That's
them like have
mental.
negative associations with smoking.
Oh wow.
But do they get you to like associate it with like really bad things in your life? Like
oh wow, I didn't
That's
know
a
that.
bit. That feels a bit unethical. Fuck.
Well,
yeah, but
actually-
it really does stop people from smoking.
And then dying
yeah.
of lung cancer.
Wow. Yeah.
Like,
That
there are
still
lots of
seems quite
things that
unethical.
make people think about bad things in their life. So I
Yeah.
feel like you might as well use it to your advantage.
Might as well. It may come.
Uh,
Yeah, maybe. Don't know.
If I get to the end of this page, then we can
Yeah,
try
okay.
because the chapter goes on a bit.
Yeah.
Abject is something rejected, from which one does not part, from which one does not protect oneself.
The abject is something protected.
From which one does not protect oneself as from an object. I thought that the abject did protect.
Protect you from.
Yeah, the object. It says here, it is something which one does not protect oneself. Maybe it's like one we oh.
Does it
maybe
say
it means
abject or object?
abject. So abject is something that we like don't. It's when we don't protect ourselves, and then our body protects
Body
ourselves
does it
for us.
for
So
us.
like there's that response happens after we've pushed through like certain.
It's interesting because it's like a separation of like mind and body.
Yeah.
Like I feel like I'd think of it more as like two different thought processes going on. Like there's a kind of like bodily way of thinking and a mental way of thinking that we associate with ourselves, but then like the body like asserts itself as a like a part, like an interested part of the body that also has reactions to things.
It is thus not lack of cleanliness or health that causes objection, but what disturbs identity, system, order. That's interesting. What disturbs identity, system, and order, I think, is really relevant to the cheese subject, the cheese project. What does not respect borders, positions, rules, the in-between, the ambiguous, the composite. This is so related.
Very relevant.
The traitor, the liar, the criminal with a good conscience, the shameless rapist, the killer who claims he is a saviour. Any crime, because it draws attention to the fragility of the law, is abject, but premeditated crime, cunning murder, hypocritical revenge are even more so because they heighten the display of such fragility. He who denies morality is not abject. There can be grandeur in immorality, and even that crime that flaunts its disrespect for the law, rebellious, liberating, and suicidal crime. Oh shit.
What?
Francis just hold on, wait. He who denies morality. I've lost it.
Maybe she's saying that like, for example, like suicide bomb is rather than suicide as a crime, because like sounds like she's saying that suicide is. I guess it's quite old fashioned. So.
What's the say? What's saying?
So it's talking about like, it's basically she's listing different types of crimes of like like flaunting of disrespect of the law, so like crimes that are premeditated and crimes that are by in no way a mistake, and that she included in that, for examples, rebellious, liberating, and suicidal crime, which is
suicidal crime makes me think of like suicide bombers.
Yeah.
But potentially also suicide is illegal.
Suicide is a crime,
Yeah, but it feels like an unusual place to put it in there.
I mean, it is. I guess it is a taboo, but like, I wouldn't say it's one we need to cross. But I guess it is a taboo to talk about, in fairness.
But then probably wasn't when she was writing.
Yeah.
Objection, on the other hand, is immoral. Sinister, scheming, and shady, a terror that dissembles, a hatred that smiles, a passion that uses the body for barter instead of inflaming it, a debtor who sells you up, a friend who stabs you. In the dark halls of the museum that is now what remains of Auschwitz, I see a heap of children's shoes, or something like that. Something I have already seen elsewhere, under a Christmas tree, for example, dolls, I believe. The objection of Nazi crime reaches its apex when death, which in any case kills me, interferes with what, in my living universe, is supposed to save me from death. Childhood, science, among other things. Right. Should we do some...
So like the object change... Well, object turns to abject.
Yeah. That kingpin has a miraculous ability to make me sleepy. It just like, I feel it in my arms.
It's quite nice. It's like calming.
It's
It's like a medicine for the horrible.
I think I'll have some food first and then do a bit, like, because I'm not particularly, I don't think I want to be tired yet.
Yeah, that's fair.
Wait, should we all eat the same thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I almost feel like in the spirit of objection we should eat something
That
gross.
the other person doesn't like, yeah. So who do we want to start with? The disgusting thing. I'm happy to start with the thing that I find disgusting. The two things I find disgusting include the Dairy and the cranberry thingamabob.
I feel like the cranberry thingamabob would be... I mean, I like that one.
Yeah, me too.
So,
I like both of those.
Should we try that one?
Are you happy to...
Yeah, let's go for it.
I mean, you got
Are
no
you
choice.
just gonna eat
Yeah.
it, or are you gonna put it on something?
I don't
gonna
think
eat
it
it on its
matters.
own, but
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm
do
gonna
whatever
eat
you
it on
want.
its own.
I'm gonna do that too. Oh my god, I love this cheese so much.
Mm.
It's really, really mild.
I don't dislike that as much as I did. Do you remember the last time we had it? And I was like, I cannot have that.
It feels like a pudding, like cheesecake,
Really?
Yeah, it's like really, really sweet.
like
I
red
used to
velvet
really
cheesecake.
dislike cheesecake.
Mm.
I quite like that this time.
I wonder if I just have a really big bit, what that would be like.
Mm.
I was expecting it to be really bad, I think. I prepared myself so much for the abject response.
Mm. And then it didn't happen. Is that you training yourself out of it, or is that just a different response?
I don't think it was me training myself. I think it was maybe a custom thing.
But like preparing for it maybe made
Yeah.
the response less awful.
Yeah.
I don't like the feeling of like salivating when you eat cheese.
Yeah.
Mm. It's an unusual feeling.
That's the main thing I'm getting, like, feels really dry.
Mm.
The thing I find really strange about that is it Wensleydale.
Yeah.
Is that it's like got the sweetness to it that almost causes like a similar sensation as a sting in my mouth.
Mm.
It doesn't sting, it definitely wouldn't work.
It's quite like numbing.
Mm.
It's like really claggy as
Yeah.
well. I mean, most cheeses are claggy, I guess, but
Mm.
it like feels especially like coating your mouth.
It's definitely claggy.
Like it's kind of more of a like, kind of more of a vibe. Like there's no like, I think it's hard to get that abject response because it's like a kind of
It's much more well, it's obviously mental, but
it's like, but like the actual flavour like is barely there. I feel like you can mainly taste cranberry. I feel like, and not the actual cheese.
Not the
And the
Wensleydale.
actual cheese is like really sort of mild and creamy.
Mm.
But it's almost like, I don't know, if you could relate it to like the kind of like myriad of like emotions that Chris Saver was talking about. It's kind of like he talked about the what was it? The idea of repression as a slack. What was it? Slack. It was on the first page.
I'm feeling really hungry now. I've had a bite.
Mm.
Just want to eat the whole plate.
Well, I was thinking we could have another one,
Yeah.
like another cheese.
Oh no. Mm. God, I love olives. This is new. Mm. Me.
Do you like green olives as well, or like?
Yeah.
I don't
Any
love
olive.
green olives. Like,
I
like
think
olive.
they've got more
That's
flavour
fine.
to them, the green ones.
I found them saltier.
Mm. Yeah, definitely. I love that dude is just...
Hey.
Hey dude, how's it going?
It's interesting she talks about it being a place where there's a complete lack of meaning.
Yeah. Maybe because it's like how undefinable it is, or like.
It's like
How?
impossible to make meaning out. Like you can't even draw a relation to what you're having anymore. Because your body
Yeah.
is just like, nope.
Nope.
Goodbye.
Yeah, and also it's
Yeah.
so interchangeable. Like it's so like meaning the idea of having like some kind of shared meaning. It really doesn't apply when it comes to abjection, or it can do, but it's really like
Wasn't the idea of the cadaver as well? It means to like to drop or like.
to fall.
Yeah, and I was thinking like, I was just saying like your body is like nope. Like it's interesting to think like, the abject response is like there is no meaning because you've just lost yourself. Like
Yeah.
your sense of self is lost.
Yeah.
Is taken over by like body. Like you become like briefly like a cadaver because you have no. There's no sense of self anymore. There's no like spiritual or philosophical understanding of yourself anymore. You're just a body, like
Yeah.
you lose control of your body. In some
Yeah,
ways.
particularly in the same way that like the abject requires for that to happen. Like it
Yes.
can't happen if you've got all of these other understandings and that kind of thing of yourself in that moment at least.
I really can't find this thing about slack. It was slack boredom. Slack boredom. That was it.
Yeah.
I feel like the Wensleydale cheese is that's
Really?
like the repressed flavor, like it's a repressed flavour. Like it never. Okay, what should we eat next? Ooh, that's got a bit of mould on it. That one.
Is that the blue one?
Oh, that's the Wensleydale.
Oh
no.
That's so funny because I liked that one that time and I didn't like it last time.
To be honest,
That was a bit off.
That's fine.
I
mate.
cut some mould off of the goat's cheese, but I think I cut all of
That's
it off.
fine.
Oh, okay.
I'm happy to eat mould. I mean, this is like cheese
Yeah,
is
it's
mould.
literally mould.
I guess like you think about also like the yeah, like with mould, like with rotting.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were saying Italian maggot cheese like is like a corpse without God.
Yeah.
Like it's like when food reaches the point of no longer being food, like it's like, oh God, this is something else now.
Yeah. What do you reckon? What's next?
It's interesting how like lactose intolerance like renders dairy like not food anymore.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it just becomes like abjection. I'm most disgusted by the goat's cheese
Awesome.
and
I like
what's
goat's
the
cheese
other
a lot.
one?
Did you say it was the blue as well?
Yeah, the
And
gambazola.
the smoked.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, and the
like
goat's
the
cheese and the smoked are all scary. Which one should we do?
Goat's cheese.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love goat's cheese. I could eat this for days.
I really like goat's cheese as well.
What does it smell? It smells like feet. Or
Yeah.
like socks.
It kind of tastes like how I imagine feet would taste.
But
Like
it's
it's
nice.
a little bit, yeah.
Tom was like so sure that this had gone off the other day.
Really?
Oh.
I feel like
so
it's like
good. No.
It tastes like, I was gonna say it tastes like earwax, but earwax is like much more like bitter.
yeah. I think it has gone a little bit past its like best. There's no
It's gone
aftertaste to it.
softer.
It just tastes like how drinking milk feels. I could keep going with this for
I
days.
really do like goat's cheese as well.
I
But as
really
soon
don't
as
like it.
Tom and Caleb showed that they didn't like it, I was like, I completely understand, but like that doesn't change the way I feel about
Absolutely
it.
get it, but I love it.
It kind of got the texture of like coconut oil.
Yes, it does. Yeah, it's very like moussey and soft.
Yeah, there's like
the-
very tiny balls of cheese. Like,
Yeah,
on top.
I like the comparison of like the outer rind and then the middle bit.
Can you
It's
eat the
really
rind?
soft. Yes, you can. You have eaten half of the rind as well, so if not, but yeah, you can. Is there any left?
I was gonna say it tastes like ears, but it doesn't
There's a
taste
bit
like
left.
I think it
Oh,
tastes
yeah.
closest to earwax to me.
Really?
Have you ever like eaten your own earwax?
Yeah, I've tasted it before. Don't
It's
know
like
whether
really
it's on
bitter.
purpose or not.
I don't know if I have.
It's like just before the bitterness of earwax like kicks in.
So earwax is quite soft then. Like soft and mod. Actually, no, it's soft and moldable because I've seen it.
Yeah, I mean it's a bit like, it's kind of like, it's got like bits of old hair and like dirt and stuff, so it's a bit like, it's like eating dirt, like
Oh.
like you shouldn't eat it.
No. How often do you do this, Caleb?
I don't like no, I don't eat my own earwax, but I've tried it like, as a kid.
Yeah.
I still.
I think with earwax it's the colour.
I've also
that puts
like
me off.
it's also got like a, it does have like a residual thing because I have like I've like recently probably not like recently as in like 2 minutes ago, but
Keeps
like
it in a pot.
I've definitely like itched the inside of my ear, like
Yeah.
gotten rid of some earwax, and then
Oh,
like
I've definitely
at some
Gets in
point
your
like
nails. Yeah.
tested it on my
I've
nails.
definitely done that. Yeah. I liked that.
Charlotte, should we keep reading actually? We've been eating
What
for
were
quite
you
a while.
gonna say? Do we want to do my disgusting one?
Yeah, but we can do that next.
I mean,
for the
I'm
next
happy
section.
to. How much of this are we reading?
I'd be
As much as we
much
can
as we
stomach.
as much as we can stomach. Although we could eat and then read it after we've eaten, or like
I don't
do
know.
it whilst. But like if we've got
You
to
hungry?
the end, I am hungry.
Oh.
Do you want? I can read a bit and then.
Yeah.
I mean, if you wanted to, you could always like. Actually, there's not any goat cheese. I was gonna say you could like keep eating the same thing.
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking.
Yeah,
There's
so
a
we
might
can
have
try
cottage
and
cheese.
cheese. There's quite a lot of cottage cheese.
Ooh,
Do
should
not
we
let-
do cottage cheese? And then we've got it out of the way.
Yeah, we
I
could
hate
have.
it,
Okay, let's
so-
have some cottage cheese now, and
Right.
then you guys can keep eating
How
it.
would
Okay,
you?
yeah, that's what I was
How
thinking.
would you go about eating that?
Probably with a spoon, actually.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
I'd
get a
have it
spoon.
on bread.
I might just use the
It's
end
nice
of this
on
knife.
bread, yeah.
Absolutely not. Oh my god. Look at that. That looks like a. It looks like a bird has pooed on my knife.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Oh, you don't really need that, do you?
That's okay. I'll use it anyway. I appreciate it, spoon.
Oh, thank you.
Oh god. I just feel like it looks like bird poo.
Mm-hmm. It has gone a bit like room
Oh, it even
temperature.
smells terrible. Oh my
Yeah.
god.
It's not as good as it was when it first.
What does it smell like? Charlotte?
Like gone off cheese and onion.
Hmm.
Oh god, but like mixed in with something just absolutely disgusting. That's a really bad smell.
I feel like it doesn't smell like much to me.
What do you think?
That is definitely an abject response going on right
That's
there.
fucking
It's
disgusting.
almost. It's almost.
Oh, that is terrible.
No, it is, isn't it?
Oh my god. Why would you do that to yourself by choice? I think it's the texture.
I understand
horrible.
it. Doesn't change the way I feel.
Good, I'm glad. You know what? The yogurt part of that is alright. The texture, nah, absolutely not. And yet, I actually feel much better.
I
now I've
really
done
like it.
Yeah, I quite like it.
It's a lot softer than
Try
butter,
it. Try it
isn't
on bread. It's really nice, or on a cracker.
I'll do it on a cracker. I've got a bit left.
All of
on
my cheese is starting to taste a bit like
room temperature.
it's merging a bit as well.
Merging. Oh, like all the cheese. Actually, that's not very nice. With the chive cracker.
I'm just not a big fan of that texture. Like, yeah. I think in the bits that are like flatter, like the residue on my spoon, that was a lot more manageable.
Mm.
But the like big clumps, I'm not a big fan of that.
Alright. Have you read this page?
No.
If it be true that the abject simultaneously beseeches and pulverizes the subject, one can understand that it is experienced at the peak of its strength when that subject, weary of fruitless attempts to identify with something on the outside, finds the impossible within. When it finds that the impossible constitutes its very being, that it is none other than abject. The abjection of self would be the culminating form of that experience of the subject to which it is revealed that all its objects are based merely on the inaugural loss that laid the foundations of its own being. So you lose yourself in abject response.
Mm.
There is nothing like the abjection of self to show that all abjection is in fact recognition of the want on which any being, meaning, language, or desire is founded. So there's nothing like objection of self to show that all abjection is in fact recognition of the want on which any being, meaning, language, or desire is founded. One always passes too quickly over this word, want, and today psychoanalysts are finally taking into account only its more or less fetishized product, the object of want. But if one imagines, and imagine one must, for it is the working of imagination whose foundations are being laid here. So if one imagines the experience of want itself as logically preliminary to being an object, to the being of the object, then one understands that objection, and even more so objection of the self, is its only signified. So the experience of want, logically preliminary to a being or object, to the being of object. So the experience of want itself to the being of the object understands that objection, and even more so objection of self, is its only signified. So the only signified of want itself is objection, or objection of self.
Read that again. Just the thing. Well, just say that again. I mean, sorry.
I don't remember what I said. So then one understands that objection, and even more so objection of self, is its only signified. So the only thing. What is signified again? Been over it so many times. Can't remember. Signifier and signified. Signifier is the thing that points to something. So
signified
the signified is the
that
thing that it points to, right? Or it is the meaning that it creates. Okay. So. Oh, where is it? The experience of want itself, which is preliminary to being, so the process of being something, I guess. So the experience of want comes before being an object, to the being of the object as well. So then one understands that objection, and even more so objection of self, is its only signified. Objection of self is its only signified. Its signifier then is none but literature. Mythical Christendom turned this objection of self into the ultimate proof of humility before God. Witness Elizabeth of Hungary, who thought a great princess delighted in nothing so much as in abasing herself.
What does that mean?
Well, to debase is to lose oneself,
Yeah.
right? But in a kind of just
Abasing
to degrade
sounds
something.
To over explain it.
Yeah.
The reason for it, if that makes sense.
Behave in a way that belittles or degrades someone. I watch my colleagues abasing themselves before the boards of trustees. So abase is to abase yourself. So debase is when you degrade someone else, but abase is to degrade oneself.
Gotcha.
Who, though a great princess, delighted in nothing so much as in abasing herself. Mystical Christendom turned this objection of self into the ultimate proof of humility before God. I'm really struggling with this whole section. The experience of want itself to the being, which is preliminary to the being of the object. Then, so therefore understands that objection, and even more so objection of self, is its only signified. Is it that, I don't know if it's that want only signified is objection of self. Yeah? Like, to want something is an abjection of self. That's the only thing that wanting points to. It says there is nothing like the objection of self to show that all abjection is in fact recognition of the want on which any being, meaning, language, or desire is founded.
So it's sort of, so you only, abjection is reliant on, it's a bit, I think, I'm probably interpreting it wrong, but it's a bit like saying that meaninglessness is only exists because of meaning. So like, it, oh no, it's like the opposite.
Hello.
Hello.
You still recording?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm hungry though, I just want to eat cheese.
Why haven't you allowed to eat cheese?
Because we have to wait.
We have to read like a page.
Oh god. Wow. Yikes.
And it's really long. It's a big
Can
book.
we eat the cheesecake?
Okay, right.
What is this?
Wait, let's get to the end of let's get to the end of the page.
Oh, it's cheese?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, gross.
Sorry.
Let's get to the end of the page. And then, so what were you saying? You have to finish your thought.
Oh, I've forgotten what it was. What the line was. Can you explain that?
So the previous thing was there was nothing like the objection of self. There is nothing like the objection of self to show that all objection is in fact recognition of the want on which any being, meaning, language, or desire is founded. And then later on, Christopher says, the experience of want itself as preliminary to being an object, to the being of object, then one understands that objection, and even more so objection of self, is its only signified.
So I think that it's saying that the objection of self is like
Sorry.
Just chilling. The objection of self is the there keeps being a line that
It's preliminary to desire.
thank you. The objection to self is preliminary to desire, so that means that
Well, she says preliminary to being an object, but she says that it's the basis on which desire comes about.
Yeah, so desire is always, everything is desire in a sense, like, and the objection of self is something that is required in order to understand that everything is desire, because it's not a thing that's met.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a thing that's like.
Desire is always the process of trying to get.
Yeah, and that's sort of. I guess that's kind of what objection of self is like as well, because.
You can't reach.
Yeah, you can't like your body won't let you reach.
The abject object.
The abject. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The abject, because the abject, it's like it is like a desire in a way, but it's not a desire obviously, but it's like a thing that can never be reached.
It's kind of formed in the same place.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I guess to abase yourself is to lose oneself as well.
Yeah.
To object oneself. The question remains as to the ordeal, a secular one this time, that abjection can constitute for someone who, in what is termed knowledge of castration, turning away from perverse dodges, presents himself with his own body and ego as the most precious non-objects. They are no longer seen in their own right, but forfeited, abject. The termination of analysis can lead Termination of analysis can lead us there, as we shall see. Such are the pangs and delights of masochism. Essentially different from uncanniness, more violent too, abjection is elaborated through a failure to recognize its kin. Nothing is familiar, not even the shadow of a memory. I imagine a child who has swallowed up his parents too soon, who frightens himself on that account, all by himself, and to save himself rejects and throws up everything that is given to him, all gifts, all objects. He could have a sense of the abject. Okay, let's see.
Okay.
Should we just eat everything?
We could do, yeah. I need the toilet again.
I might fill up my milk.
Does anyone want anything?
This cheese, like the longer it's left out, is becoming more disgusting as well.
Yeah. Does anyone want any water or anything?
I've got some water. Thanks.
Milk time!
Oh wait, don't we get you some milk, Charlie?
That's okay. Well, I'm up and ready to milk.
It's still recording. I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna try all the cheeses we haven't tried yet, and then we're just gonna have free for all. And then while we do that, you can. Okay, what should we try next?
Oh no, we've gone through everyone's.
Yeah.
It's like it's bound back to me, isn't
Okay,
it?
yeah. What's the one you don't want to have now?
The Dairy Lee.
Okay,
good
Dairy
choice.
time.
See, I love that.
I'm so used to it because I remember eating it as a kid.
No!
We dropped it.
Oh no, my cheese. Oh no. I've now got
That's definitely the worst one to drop.
slightly
Yeah,
floorboardy cheese.
I feel like there was something in the squelch of that hitting the ground that pretty much summed up the nature of the
Yeah.
project.
That definitely.
Did it make a noise?
Yeah, it was like a proper squelchy one, with like a splat. Like nothing delicious should make that sound.
Yeah.
But it is delicious.
I think I don't find it abject, that's for sure, but I find that it nearly, and I think in a sandwich with lots of it, I do find it pretty abject.
What, Dairy Lee?
Yeah. Because I used to
love
have it sometimes at someone's house.
Did you just
Oh, the olive's so nice, it just cuts through everything. Like.
did you just spread the cheese with your fingers?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes,
No,
I
why
did.
not? Because then you can lick your finger.
This is a
and-
very
Yeah.
high class
Yeah,
establishment we run.
yeah. Wow.
Tom, we were saying that there's this kind of idea about like the corpse without God, like being like a really abject thing, like
Yeah.
without any kind of meaning, like it's just.
Ye-
But I was saying that it's like lactose intolerance is interesting because it just renders dairy like not food. Like
Yeah,
now
yeah.
it's just gross. Like,
But the thing is, it isn't gross to Tom.
Yeah.
Even though he's sort of. Oh no.
but that's only because you have like a memory of enjoying it at some point.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
Like
I,
if you were a
Also-
kid and you were
I think if I
lactose
just never
intolerant
ate
from a
cheese, it
baby.
would be gross.
Yeah.
Do you think?
This is it's the
Because the
same.
process of eating it must be quite nice.
Like I feel like there's quite a lot of foods where like I get really similar with like KFC. When I was a kid, I absolutely loved KFC, and I don't know why. And I remember eating it like a few years later, and just finding every aspect. And like, obviously, this was like before, like going vegan, and just finding it kind of gross, like every aspect of it.
I
kind
find
of
the
feel-
idea of like gristle really horrible.
What is gristle
Yeah.
again?
It's like, I mean, in fairness, it is literally inedible, right? Like,
Yeah.
But it's like the inedible parts of meat, so it's just like
Oh.
sometimes you end up like with a cut of chicken that has a bit of like gristle, which is just like
Like the really tough
fat
like,
or like bone, like a
Yeah.
mixture of like fat and bone, basically. Can't be
Oh,
eaten.
yeah. Have you ever had like the marrow?
Dragon bone,
the
no.
bone marrow. That makes me
No.
like, yeah, that's.
People like to have that though. I remember somebody's dad used to like eat the whole chicken bone and break it in half and then like suck
It's
out the
so
marrow.
gross because it's like soft. Ugh.
Ugh.
It is so strange though, because like when you think about cheese, like there's a part of me that's like how did it come about? Like
Just left something out.
yeah, how did this like the first person making it? What was their like thought process? Because whenever you think about like or like butter just being like just churning milk when it's old until it becomes something else, like whoever the first person to do that was, I can just imagine them being like someone else walking in and being like, what are you doing?
I think they must have been really experimental with a lot of food because, like, at the beginning, like before, whilst we were still sort of like deciding what was and wasn't food, like there's like I guess like a certain amount of inevitability of like certain things being disgusting.
People like also like smoking things as well.
Yeah.
It's like they must have gotten through so many different like plants. So many people just die in the process of like people must have eaten like so many different mushrooms.
But I wonder whether there's something about that, like that risk factor, almost like historically being kind of linked to like a sense of decadence, which is really bizarre. Well,
like playing with your life in a way.
And like when you get foods like that in other cultures are really kind of decadent, like puffer fish.
Yeah, it's like it has to be cooked in a certain way, otherwise it will kill you.
Yeah.
Why on earth would you
Look
do
at
that?
this. The bubbles.
Oh.
Did you see that?
Aww.
Just dripping it on the table.
I love it. That's what my fish will do. But I won't
Don't
squeeze
squeeze the
them.
fish.
Oh, I think I've like
You just
squeezed
squeezed it
all the
out.
vinegar out.
Can't wait to be a fish one.
Ooh. Okay, should we eat another cheese? We need to get through this cheese so Tom can do
Which one is your next least, Caleb?
goat's cheese.
Okay, let's.
Awesome.
we've done the goat's cheese.
We've done it.
No, not
Oh,
the
smoked.
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 Sorry.
Yeah, no,
Cheese,
no.
yeah.
Woo!
Not
I love
fan
this
of that.
one.
I don't know why I put so much on my plate.
See, this tastes. It has
Oh,
the same sort
It
of
smells
taste
like ham.
as the goat's cheese. Yeah, like it's the same texture, so I understand why you don't like it.
Well, for me, it's the aftertaste.
Oh. That's just like smoky. I guess it does taste like ham. It does
don't
taste
mind
like
it.
ham.
I don't like it.
It
I
does
don't mind
taste
it.
like ham. Wow. New ham, guys.
Baloney.
I don't. To be fair, actually, this time around, it's not as bad. I think it's because I went in expecting to really like it and then being shocked by how it tasted.
I find it to be like
You're just dipping it
not
in
my
cottage cheese.
favourite. Oh
Not
god,
meaning
no.
to. I just
You
have.
literally went like.
Disgusting.
I know I did it. I just dropped it in.
Can't. That stuff is no.
What, the cottage cheese?
Yeah. Makes me sad, Caleb.
I'm kind of like a bit scared of eating the pickle.
Should we try that?
Yeah.
Right. All in
I've
one
got
or
really
like a
thick
little
crust.
nibble? What are we gonna do?
I feel like all in one would be really disgusting.
Should we do it then?
Yeah.
Abject?
Yeah.
Yeah. 3,
2,
2,
1. You know what? That's fine. Just a spicy cucumber.
Elliot, can you cut me some pickle?
Oh, that'd be really good.
The aftertaste is a bit shit, but
It's better when it's cold.
It's
That's
juicy. Like I don't like how juicy it is. Oh, it's
don't
like
hate that.
slimy. It tastes nice, but I don't like it.
Not a fan.
It's weird though, because I like the pickle. I do like it. Like I like that taste, and I think I couldn't describe it in a way that made it sound anything other than revolting.
How would you describe it?
Like
Sweet and vinegary.
Yeah, very vinegary, sharp, squelchy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like
It's-
eating like a fizzy
To be
slug.
fair, it's usually a bit more
Yeah.
crunchy when it's come straight out of the fridge.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I'm really
It's
defending.
fizzy. It's fizzy. Where's the pickle gone?
My lips.
I had.
Do you want to get some more in?
Okay, I
just
can
How much pickle do you guys think you could like eat in one?
Oh,
Do you want
I
some
could eat
wine?
an entire pickle.
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Oh,
I was thinking if it's fizzy, I should try it with milk. 'Cause
Oh,
it's
God.
fizzy.
oh
Oh,
yeah,
no.
yeah. Bring the pickles in.
But in some ways, I feel like the pickle is like the exact opposite side of the spectrum to cheese.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Where
definitely
it's
a
like-
different like flavour profile.
It's
isn't it?
crunchy,
Like-
it's squelchy, it's made of water.
Cheese seems to
Ooh.
hang out at like the back of your throat, whereas like the pickle is really on the tip.
Do you think the phone picked up my butt?
This feels like a sea cucumber.
Sorry, Tom. What were you saying? It's like
Yeah.
squelchy.
Like it's just like to me, it's like just like the opposite of cheese. Like the parts of
Sorry.
the mouth that it is like the flavors.
For me though, like actually no, I know what you mean. Like cheese, like what you're saying about the Wednesday dough, like it kind of becomes like background, like it kind of like
Yeah.
coats like the back of your throat. Like
Well,
you say.
Have you guys had any pickle with a slice of cheese on the
No.
or vice versa? In fact, that could be quite tasty.
Are you gonna do the
That's
whole
not
thing?
I definitely could.
I
Don't
dare you
have a
to do
full-on
it.
bite.
It's so these ones are so like monstrous.
They
Yeah.
are big, aren't they?
You might have to do
I'm really just.
maybe half.
I
the
think
time.
now I am like I'm gonna be like
Abject.
not sit. I'm gonna have an abject response if I
Just
have
really
another
eating
one.
it. All right.
Mm.
I think they look like something out of like Spirited Away and like
Yeah.
how weird they look.
If that like swam up to me, I wouldn't be surprised. Like, ooh, hi. Yeah. I feel like that's too
I feel
much
like
pickle for my liking.
I don't mind like a small slice like on
Oh
a
my
burger.
god,
or
she's
something.
going back for more.
Oh.
Wow.
The juicy.
I had one the other day, and like the first mouthful, I was like, "That's really nice." The second mouthful, I was like, "No, that's still quite nice." And then it was like, by the end of the pickle, like that last mouthful was pretty like.
It's
you know,
interesting.
They're just too big.
Like in terms of the philosophy about like abjection, like I wonder if there's something about like having a tolerance for something like it's weird when you have something you really like that becomes disgusting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I thought I really liked the goat's cheese. I keep calling it
Smoked?
the smoked cheese, and then when I first had it, it just made me feel like really, really.
Yeah.
I don't know if nausea is really the same thing as objection, but like it's close to it. Like because it sounds like the way Christopher describes it, it's like there are like levels to it. Like there's like a kind of total objection, which is like the point of like retching. But I guess there's
Yeah.
like a kind of journey to that point.
Journey to the centre.
And the feeling of like nausea is interesting. But like yeah, like having a kind of almost abject response to the smoked cheese the second time after believing that I liked it. It's like the tolerance for it had gone, you know.
Yeah.
Or like with the pickle, like you eating the pickle and slowly it becomes disgusting.
Yeah. To be fair, I'm starting to find it a bit gross.
Mm.
Like after that, because it was such a big pickle.
Mm.
I'm just gonna wash my hands quickly because I've got pickle juice all over.
Or starting to feel quite ill.
Oh no.
This is good though.
I was saying like you know how things like mushrooms and pickles and olives generally like those things that you like. I feel like as a kid you're like, no, that's gross, and like blue cheese and actually a lot of like stronger like cheeses as a kid you find quite like revolting and like quite abject. Whereas
Yeah.
like I don't know, I don't really ever associate something like cheddar with having like that kind of feeling towards it.
Yeah.
Like I love olives now, but there was quite a long time when I was young when I couldn't eat.
Yeah,
like,
they make
just
me
it
feel
was
me
gross.
too.
Yeah.
Whereas like and like the same with like some cheeses, but I don't ever like. I feel like we're just so used to eating like cheddar and
Yeah.
stuff as kids. It's kind of strange that it doesn't have like the same
Yeah.
same reaction.
It's also interesting that like culturally like cheese is like or dairy is like pretty normally consumed here, but then like in other parts of the world like
It's like
there's
not.
never been like lactose tolerance and like lactose intolerance is like pretty normal for most of the world, and our part of the world like not that long ago like in terms of history like no one could have dairy or like they couldn't have dairy from other animals anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, because one of my flatmates last year was lactose intolerant, but like still loved cheese. Like cheese was a treat, and it was always like the payoff. Like, am I willing to
Yeah.
like
That's
eat
what
it?
it's like with Daisy.
Which is like
Yeah.
really really strange because that's like your body being like, don't eat this.
Well, yeah,
And it must be like completely cultural.
that's a really interesting thing that Christova was talking about. Like she does talk about the mind and body like almost not quite separately, but like
Different, just
Like-
distinctively different processes.
yeah, like the abject response is like the bodily response to like an abject thing, but yeah, but like you lose your sense of self in the moment of abjection, but your sense of I guess like your flatmate sense of self is like, oh, I really like cheese, like I love the taste of cheese, but then your body is like,
Nope.
your body takes over, like you
Yeah.
cease to that kind of understanding of cheese like no longer matters in the process of like processing the cheese like
Yeah.
after eating it like the next day or whatever.
Yeah.
Your body like completely rejects it, like it's not food anymore.
Yeah.
You just thought it was food.
I wonder whether there's like something actually quite like intrinsically linked between the rejection and like that feeling that you shouldn't do something. Like maybe the reason that like sometimes you really love or like abject things can be the things that you like really like passionately love. Is maybe kind of linked to the fact that you're kind of not feeling like you should. So things like black pudding, which are just like that's just revolting, and almost like the fact that it's revolting made it even nicer.
Yeah, and that what's the bird that they like drown in?
Like foie gras.
Yeah, I think it's something similar
That's
to
what they
foie.
That's
like
duck, isn't it?
feed
Feed
it like force feed it really specific things.
Oh my god.
But the one, I don't think it's foie gras, but
Spit
that's
out.
also I think meant to be really disgusting.
Is it the French thing where they like marinate the
Yeah,
like
they
goose
like drown
alive?
a goose alive in like whiskey or cognac.
Cognac, I think. Yeah.
But then it's
What's
really
that?
interesting the like tradition because they cover their face while they eat it to like hide themselves from God. So there's like a kind of like like a cultural or like the tradition of the understanding that
Yeah.
this is really disgusting, but like
And
it's
also
like
bad, like
and
knowing that it's
bad.
the wrong, like
Like
you're not
it-
supposed to be doing it.
Oh my god, it's
But
like
it's
that
like
bit in
indulgent.
Avatar.
What's the
You
bit in
know
Avatar?
when the blue lady, the like main character woman,
Yeah,
the man who is just a man and not an avatar kills a deer or
yeah,
shoots a deer and he doesn't quite kill it, and she goes over and does a whole like prayer thing to be like basically thank you, and then kills it to make sure it's out of its misery. And then he's like, oh, thank you so much. And she's like, this is not a good thing. This is only sad.
Yeah.
This is very sad. And he can't understand why he can't thank her.
It's interesting to think about how abjection might be useful in like, because like Christova's like she says like primers for our culture, which on one hand, you know, could mean that things are made taboo that don't really need to be taboo. You know, like something like homosexuality is like for the longest time is seen as like a societal taboo.
Yeah.
But then like also like I don't know, taboos do in some, or like cultural taboos do in some way preserve a culture, like so like a culture of like that, maybe like a kind of, you think about like a culture of like vegetarianism or something like that, like seeing killing animals as like disgusting or taboo is like, or like I don't know, crimes against like the planet like should be seen as a taboo. You know, like it should sort of feel disgusting.
Yeah.
I wonder whether it sort of like links a little bit to kind of ideas of, or almost things like a kind of fetishism as well. That idea of kind of in a sense it's like the presence of the taboo is also like the source of the pleasure.
Yeah.
That element of something being a bit out there.
Yeah.
Like it's actually that out there-ness that is the source of the pleasure.
I wonder if that's like trying to control the abject though, because like it seems like the abject is like something that you like can't even access really, or it's all like, which it might change, but it's like the thing that you can't access.
Yeah. At first I thought it was the thing that sort of like protects you from, it's the whole reaction, but it's not even the reaction, it's the thing that would come after the reaction, but you're always protected from the abject by your body.
Yeah, it's like the limit.
Which used to be
Should we, maybe we could have the Gambazola and then just get into reading and just eat.
What, just eat all the others?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, do you think?
I don't know. I didn't
Would
know
you-
if like you wanted to go through them one by one, or if that might take a little while.
I think it's going to take too long. Go on. The Gambazola doesn't really smell of anything to me. I only smell pickle.
Yeah, no, I smell nothing. It's got a bit of a weird
That's
aftertaste.
Yeah.
Like the general taste is not terrible, and then there's the aftertaste of like copper, which will be the blue bits.
It's like bitter, yeah.
Yeah. I wouldn't not eat that
It
again.
kind of goes to like pick bits of blue out of your teeth.
Yeah. Not, don't
Like
love
your
it.
mouth is like separating the bits that you're not really sure. Or you can eat, and it's fine to eat, but it feels like slightly less edible than the soft bit. Like it feels like pieces of wood.
Yeah.
Actually, I really enjoyed that. I thought I didn't like
Oh.
blue cheese.
I really like
I'll have some more.
It's not bad. What do you think?
I was trying to remember the name of a cheese that I like that's blue. I think. Sorry, that like made it seem like I was like trying to say something.
No, I thought you were like really, really disgusted.
No, I didn't hate it or like it that much. I'm just like, yeah, in the middle. Kind of like I'm kind of feel like that about most cheeses, to be honest. I'm not like really disgusted, but really just not like love it. The Montgomery.
I love blue cheese.
Why do you love it?
It's just like, I think that to me it just like tastes so, it's like so rich and so intense. Like I always find, you know, like when you get fruit in cheese,
Yeah.
I don't tend to like touch it. Like I don't know. It's like almost like the whole point of cheese is that like rich, sticky, like claggy, hangs in your throat.
Saltiness.
Like, yeah, that's like real depth.
Oh,
Look at that bit of blue.
I've just had a bite of what I believe is parmesan.
Parmesan. Oh, I didn't know we had any.
When
That's not parmesan.
what is that? Is that cheddar?
I think it's really old cheddar.
Wow,
Cheddar is actually really sharp.
that
like-
tastes and feels like parmesan because it's
Yeah. Oh wow.
so hard. Yeah.
I just bit into the blue. There's a like really huge piece of blue cheese.
It's like hard,
Yeah, it's like a rock.
crunchy. Oh,
Where am I gonna
that's
go
so
next?
grim. Are you sure that's blue cheese?
Yeah. Oh. Tastes like kind of like herbal.
Oh, I'm not a fan
Really?
of that.
Yeah, it actually tastes kind of sweet compared to the
I thought-
flavour of the soft cheese.
Oh wow. Oh god, I think you got like more of that than anyone else.
Yeah.
Ugh.
That apple and sage one tastes like a sausage and it's really weird.
Do you want it? This is
No,
the biggest
right,
bit
mate.
of blue.
Which is the
Do you
apple
want
and
a-
sage one?
I'm kind of
one of
tempted,
the
but
circular
I was
ones, that one?
so. I felt so
Did not
ill after
enjoy that.
eating cheese
Oh,
on
yeah.
Charlotte's birthday. I feel like I'm gonna regret it.
Yeah.
Mm.
Kind of really tempted by the blue though.
I do feel like if there's a time to have something that you're not meant to have, it's during this recording. But also, I'm not gonna. I won't
But also,
try and tempt you.
pain.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like
If
that.
you want it, I'll put it over here. You have to come and get
Oh
it.
god,
Okay.
that one's not very good either.
Which one is that?
It's just a cheddar, but it's
Oh,
so
yeah, I've had
soft
that one.
now.
Yeah. It's a bit warm.
Should we have some chocolate?
Mm.
Okay.
Wash it down. Mine's got cottage cheese on
Yeah,
it.
yours looks
Oh.
really
Oh.
Oh, look at the size of it.
Oh, that's
I feel like
great.
mine's quite protected.
I've eaten mine.
Charlotte's back on the cheese.
Oh, that's nice. Like,
That's nice.
it's really nice when you go
Ooh,
from
is
cheese
it?
to something that's not cheese. Like, it really cuts through everything.
Yeah.
Makes you forget.
Yeah.
I love that. I was just like, yeah, I've eaten mine. Back to the cheese.
Okay,
I
should
don't want to
we?
go back to the cheese now that I've had the chocolate.
Should we
You
just?
do. I promise you, it's a good idea.
Should we continue reading?
Do you want me to read like the last line of the previous page and then just go on? Just from the
Yeah. Why not?
essentially different from uncanniness, more violent too. Abjection is elaborated through a failure to recognise its kin. Nothing is familiar, not even the shadow of a memory. I imagine a child who has swallowed up his parents so soon, who frightens himself on that account, all by himself, and to save himself, rejects and throws up everything that is given to him, all gifts, all objects. He could have a sense of the abject. Even before things for him are, hence before they are signifiable, he drives them out. Dominated by drive as he is, and constitutes his own territory edged by the abject. The sacred configuration, fear, cements his compound, conjoined to another world, thrown up, driven out, forfeited.
Yeah, it's like that. So, Chris was talking about like the complete lack of meaning. So there's no like signifier. And
Yeah, and it's not
Basically,
required. Like, this is before the boy even knows like what it is to be a thing or like what.
yeah, there's no sense of like why. Like, there's no sense of why you feel disgusted. Like it's like It's like there's no
Pre-reason.
pre-reason or even meaning.
Yeah.
Or like the abjection comes from a lack of meaning, maybe.
Shall I carry on? Yeah. What he has swallowed up instead of maternal love is an emptiness, or rather, maternal hatred without a word for the words of the father. That is what he tries to cleanse himself of tirelessly. What solace does he come upon within such loathing? Perhaps father, existing but unsettled, loving but unsteady, merely an apparition, but an apparition that remains. Without him, the holy brat would probably have no sense of the sacred, a blank subject.
Poor dude.
He would remain discomfited at the dump for non-objects that are always forfeited, from which, on the contrary, fortified by abjection, he tries to extricate himself. For he is not mad, he through whom the abject exists. Out of the daze that has petrified him before the untouchable, impossible, absent body of the mother, a daze that has cut off his impulses from their objects, that is, from their representations. Out of such a daze he causes, along with loathing, one word to crop up: fear. The phobic has no other object than the abject, but that word, fear, a fluid haze, an elusive clamminess, no sooner has it cropped up than it shades off like a mirage, and permeates all words of the language with non-existence, with a hallucinatory ghostly glimmer. Thus, fear, having been bracketed, discourse will seem tenable only if it ceaselessly confronts that otherness, a burden both repellent and repelled, a deep well of memory that is unapproachable and intimate, the abject.
Can we, once we've finished cheese, move to the sofa?
I was gonna say exactly the same thing.
I feel like I'm in the mood to get off of this chair.
I feel like I'm done with the cheese.
Yeah.
Oh, Caleb, you didn't get very far with the cheese.
No, I'm not enjoying it.
To be fair, you said you were feeling sick before.
Yeah, I can't do it. Blue. Yummy.
You feel kind of what? You feel kind of what?
I was trying to say
You're
a sentence about how I'm surprised that I've come out of this enjoying blue cheese when I thought I hated it for so long.
It's not
But I
as
fucked
bad.
up
It's
the
probably
sentence.
like, for me, it's like one of the better ones.
It's really nice.
Although
How
that blue
have I
cheese
just
bit
found
was
this?
actually disgusting.
I've avoided that for years. It's really lovely.
There's too many like sweet and salty flavours
So
at
for
the time at
time.
once. I think I want to make a hot drink. I forget about cheese.
Do it. Does anybody want any more wine?
Do we want to keep going with the essay, or should we stop here?
I'd be happy to keep going with the essay if we're like.
If we're on the sofa and asleep, I'm good.
I wonder if it, like,
Do you want any more wine?
I wonder if we're just asleep on the sofa though, it's not really worth reading it. Like, unless we're gonna like actively listen and read. Like, I don't know if it's worth just saving it for another time.
Yeah.
I don't know.
There's no like real. We don't have to even finish the text.
I feel like if you guys are still within mental capacity, absolutely go for it. But none of that is going in anymore. He could be saying anything. Sorry, Tom. Lovely, gorgeous Tom, for whom I
In
adore,
fairness, like,
could be saying anything.
Yeah. The speaker could be saying.
The thing
But I
is,
think I
so
The death
much
of the
is
author.
said.
Yeah. What's that?
So much has been said in such a small amount of time.
Yeah.
I wonder whether
We've got about 2 hours.
There's so many
recorded
pages.
as well.
Yeah. I wonder whether it's like. I don't know. I don't want to. You know when you read loads and then end up sort of missing loads of bits along the way, whereas if you go slowly and work through it slowly and like focus on it loads, like.
Yeah, we can make it a thing like every time we eat cheese. That doesn't have to be.
Or like, yeah.
Or like read bits. We don't have to record it every time either, necessarily.
Yeah, and
Although
just
it's useful.
It
Yeah.
kind of, like, the text, weirdly, kind of... I don't know if it's just, like, the style of how it's written. It really reminds me a lot of, like, folk tales. And how often in, like, folk tales and, like, children's tales there is, like, an element of, like, disgust.
I don't know whether I really like the way that Julia Kristeva writes.
I quite like it because it kind of makes you feel disgusted as you read it.
Yeah.
I don't think I like or dislike it. I have absolutely no feelings towards this whatsoever.
I think
What
I
do
like.
you dislike about it?
I think I dislike the ambiguity. I mean, I like
Yeah.
Because like I think it's okay to be ambiguous, but when you're writing, I think, and the way and the tone in which he's writing doesn't hint any of that ambiguity.
I think it's like in a way it feels. I have the same objection to a lot of this kind of philosophical writing that is that bit like from around this time where it's kind of a bit.
Derrida does it quite a lot, and it's weird because I love Derrida, but
and I don't know. I think Bars is one of the better ones for it, but even like Bars a little bit, and definitely a lot of them. I feel like it's more of there's a cultural thing that like puts value on not being understood, which I think is a bit of a weird.
Yeah.
Bit dodge. Yeah.
I wonder if it does like make it more of a text in that you have to kind of meet it halfway though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I wonder if like I think for like every bit as much as it is that, you know, a text that you have to meet halfway, it's also working to like create something only. I don't know. It's a weird one because it excludes like that kind of text. Like it's definitely like a thing that is kind of like it's definitely like an intellectual cultural thing as well.
Yeah.
That isn't like really that helpful. But then again, like maybe that level of exclusivity is it kind of has to be there because otherwise, like if it's just easily explained, then like
you would just go.
Then you would just gloss over the whole thing. Like it wouldn't. I don't know.
Or you'd like surrender to it, if that makes sense. Like you'd be engulfed by it.
You just read it as like total truth. I don't know.
You wouldn't be able to meet it halfway. Like it's impossible to. Like you have to meet this halfway.
Yeah.
It's impossible to read it.
You have to really like pour over it, which like requires a level of concentration and time.
Yeah.
That like always is going to exclude people. Like if you don't have time to read it, then you're not going to read. Like there's going to be no way. But then, like, I guess in an ideal world you would have time to read it. So
I also think like. Gonna be honest, I'm not entirely sure what the point of the current conversation is because I went out and then came back in. But I would not read that anyway because there's no way any of that would stick. The only bit I've got from this entire conversation is you explaining to me what abject was.
Yeah,
none of that is.
But don't you think like we are reading it, like we're all reading it together?
Because Caleb's reading it. What Caleb's saying is he's
translating.
He's translating, but he is meeting halfway. He's like he's sharing his meeting halfway with the text.
See, I need someone to meet me halfway because I couldn't tell you anything about that text.
I think it's also like, as much as anything, it's like kind of to do with how we're brought up with viewing texts. In that, like in some ways, it's really nice reading he's got a book on chaos theory that I was reading, and it was so nice to read that because it's complex, but they're just telling you things.
Yeah.
And in a sense, like I think if you approach this with the mindset that it's going to teach you something, like you're not going to get anywhere. Like it's going to suggest some things from which you need to teach yourself.
In some ways, it makes it, even though it excludes you.
I think sometimes you need to not like think of it as learning it because there's not really an it to learn. It's a set of abstract ideas,
I guess,
and they're things that
and what effect
you
it has
can
on
contemplate. And yeah, because if you are trying to, if you try and go through it line by line and go, yes, I get it. Because I mean, some of these bits literally just don't.
They make no sense.
Like when you look at a piece of art before someone has met you halfway in a way, or has like explained what their work, like how it got there, what it is, what it's doing, blah blah blah. That's a position where you're quite happy to accept not really knowing. and you just try. You just like think like, oh, this is having this effect on me. This is what it's doing. And that's what you do in a crit.
Yeah.
That's exactly what you need to do when it comes to looking at that. You can be like, okay, like I've no fucking clue what this is in front of me, but it's difficult because we're used to when we see text, we're like, almost all the time you expect to know.
Yeah.
You expect it to be really
Oh,
obvious.
so you don't understand that either?
No. I just look like, I don't know, I just like see it and I'm like, okay, I'm not really sure what any of this is, but like, oh, it's having this effect on me, or it's made me think that, oh, I've like interpreted it in this way. It might not be the right way, but
I do also think though that is not like completely just like feeling. Like I feel like there's there is like meaning. Like I mean, I guess it's impossible to tell like whether or not Christova is like putting meaning into every single thing she's writing. But I do tend to think that these types of writing have probably been like meticulously written, like each sentence, every word matters. And I feel like it's kind of impossible to enter that kind of meticulous way of thinking without just reading a lot of it or reading around it. And like it's like a very long process, but eventually there is meaning that comes out of it, like no matter like. And I feel like this is like the way we're doing it. I don't know if it's helping or not, but I feel like reading as a four and like pausing and talking about it. And I find reading like literally a sentence at a time and then like going back and like trying to simplify what I'm reading in some way helps like create meaning. And then slowly, like as you get through the text, like stuff you read earlier suddenly starts to make sense.
Yeah.
Or like we read something and then we eat a piece of cheese and then we relate it back to what we've read. And then so this is like this whole process is like reading it on your own, like silently. I just don't think like I couldn't do that. I don't think it would work for me. Whereas reading it aloud to myself or reading it with somebody else and like asking them what they thought of it, like really changes how I like can access it.
it's like, you know, when you look at a piece of work, you don't expect everyone to get exactly the same from it.
No.
I think that's sort of... Sorry.
Well, I'll just say quickly, you have an idea of what you want it to get across, but you fully accept that it doesn't have that effect on another person. You don't say, that's wrong that it had that effect on you, because it's not wrong that it had that effect on you, or that you interpreted it in that way.
That's
just not what she meant.
That's a great view to have of reading, but I feel like that's not a view I've ever felt, because there's such a, you know, when we used to discuss books with John, and it would be very like, this is what this book is about.
Yeah, I found that
And
really
if it's
frustrating.
not this, then you've not got it.
Yeah, and
You
he would
need
say
to
like
really
people
read it.
always takes like Samuel Beckett's quotes and it's wrong. It's not what it's not, and it's
So
like,
it's like, how do you know?
and he's angry. I think he's because he's defending Samuel Beckett's intention, but he needs to like chill on the fact that like it's could be different.
I don't know, the thing with the Samuel Beckett one was it is often read wrong because people use that try again, fail again, fail better.
Yeah.
And they do that without the, like, Wayward Ho is not very long, but the whole rest of that is context. And like that soundbite, the context does, you can't just take the context away and go like, oh, this is what it means. Because sometimes I feel like it's not so much a case of whether you get it or don't get it. It's more like in some ways about like totality. Because I guess if you think of it as an abstract painting, like if you make a painting, someone that has kind of specific things that it represents, and there are certain things that like someone can, like you can read it wrong. It's not that being wrong is not an option, but what you can't do is be completely right.
When you're saying
But
wrong,
is it wrong?
when you're saying wrong, are you saying not in line with the author's intentions? Is that what you mean when you say wrong? What do you mean when you say
No.
wrong?
As in more like you can't be completely right. you can't be sure of what it is.
But do you mean like out of context or?
Yeah. Well, I think you can get things wrong because you can assume things and you can put something in a different
But why is assuming like assuming in relation if you assume in relation to like words or like text, what's wrong with that? And like what is assuming? What do you mean? Is that taking out of context? Because assuming assuming indicates that you kind of maybe haven't read the whole thing because you've assumed before you know it, before you've.
Yeah, I think it's more to do like actually, like you can be wrong in that you cannot pay enough respect to the work. Like you can't, if you go and look at a painting and think about the painting and like consider the context, consider other things and still come out with that reading, then yeah, it can't be wrong. But if I were to walk up to a painting and go, it's these things from my own point of view, it's this, without paying any attention to like anything around.
Isn't that like
That's-
most
I was gonna say,
paintings in a gallery though? like if you go, I mean, in fairness, quite a lot of galleries have context, but you could also go to a show where there are there's no writing, it's just a painting, you know nothing about the artist.
And also, like, it's about how many skills you're equipped with going into that experience as well. Like, I don't know. A lot of people get angry at people that haven't got the skill, that aren't equipped with those skills in order for them to look at something in its totality. And it's like,
I wonder if I think I kind of agree with you, Tom, but more in that I don't think you can be wrong, but I don't think you can be right about you can't.
Yeah.
You can maybe get closer to what someone is you could get closer to what the artist is intending, which I don't know if that matters or not really, but you can't really know exactly what the art is about.
Yeah. It's like any kind of
because you can't exactly know what you your experience of anything is really
it's
there's
like
a limit to
Yeah.
Descriptions and understanding.
It's like value, not value, what's the word that was used before? Desire.
Yeah.
It's rightness or wrongness is only a desire. It can't be. It can only be it can't be met because it's like a desire.
You can try to understand.
Yeah, and you can get closer to it or further away.
It's that is a valuable thing in itself to try.
I'm not convinced that we can ever be wrong either. Ever in any scenario, I really am not sure.
No, I don't think.
I think from this passage, I could suggest that this was to do with that Kristeva here was thinking about the impacts of the Industrial Revolution.
What the fuck?
That would be wrong.
Yeah.
Why would that be wrong? Because if that's what you got from it, surely that's fine.
But but instinctively you know that that's not right.
No,
that's because we already know.
No, I don't know. That's why I said what the fuck, because I didn't get that from it.
No, because you know because
I don't know who it was about.
Because that would be picking tiny little lines and applying it to something completely distant. That's which isn't paying any attention to the text in its entirety.
Do you think?
It's still not wrong. It might be completely different to what we think it is, and we don't agree with it. But it doesn't mean it's wrong. Because I don't think wrong is ever a thing that can be.
But then again, when you try to, because though we in earnest try to understand the text, and if you go in and just apply a completely, I don't know.
If you don't try,
I feel I feel like you can just not try, and then you will be wrong about it because you will never really not wrong as in morally wrong or something.
Yeah.
You just won't you won't be able to access any kind of meaning out of it because it just never reaches that point. In a way, it is kind of it is the abject, it's a lack of a sense, there's never your
like,
brain
why
just
is meaningless?
switches off.
Like, 'cause not being able to access meaning. Why would that be wrong? Like, why is meaninglessness wrong? Like, it might be meaninglessness, but it doesn't necessarily need to be wrong.
Well, maybe
I don't
wrong
know,
is
I
not
guess
the right word.
Yeah, maybe that's like, I feel like maybe not wrong in terms of like
An absolute, like...
I would suggest that would be morally wrong because
yeah.
it's unfair on the people who've put this work in, and it's probably as much to do with like the claiming of knowledge as anything else.
But it's a bit like fraud, I'd say, to do that.
Yeah.
Like, it's a bit fraudulent to try and to claim that it's this thing that you sort of knowingly haven't given all of your effort to.
Yeah, and I think maybe that claim that something's
doesn't
wrong.
agree.
No, I don't agree.
I think maybe the claim that something's wrong is only applicable, like, in response to a claim of understanding. I don't think you can say someone is wrong for getting something from this. But I think if I said Kristeva's main focus for this text is the Industrial Revolution, that is wrong, because that implies an absolute understanding of Kristeva, the context of her writing, and like her purposes. And
But
you
don't
can
you
be
also
wrong
think
about
that
those
like
things.
drawing like a completely wildly different like philosophical framework is like maybe an interesting way to read a text?
Yeah.
Like if you go,
Yeah.
I'm gonna like, don't we like
Yeah.
do that all the time in like critical theory studies?
Yeah.
Like we literally go like, oh yeah, I'm gonna talk about like video games and objection, even though Kristeva has nothing to do with those things.
But that's why you wouldn't word it that Kristeva is talking about video games. You would say
If you were to
you,
take
like
you would
using
be-
Kristeva's
you'd be kind
ideas
of-
around objection
Yeah, you'd be kind of
and
taking
applying
liberties,
it to this
yeah.
context. Like to claim, I feel like you can be wrong if you are making an absolute claim.
But isn't that kind of like it's kind of almost like a cultural thing that has sprung from like the idea that we have to be academically rigorous.
Yeah.
Like I could make a blog post and say, Kristeva has always been writing about video games. She just didn't know it. And I'm going to tell you how.
And if you said that, like, I think a lot of people would believe you.
Yeah, and I wouldn't necessarily be wrong. Like I could
No.
explain why I think that.
And I think if you said like, oh, and she didn't necessarily, like, I feel like if you said that sentence, like that would be like, yeah, because you're clearly, like that sentence almost comes with its own little bit of context of these are how these ideas apply here.
Mm-hmm.
And almost I think like the idea of